What's up, everybody? Sammy Paley here. I am so excited for today's episode. I have an exciting guest on to talk about how following what you love to do can help you discover who you truly are. And he discovered who he was by pursuing Impressionism art. It's now called Instapressionism. It's very cool. And he also has a really cool clothing company. So I'm so excited to have you meet Elliot Rose. I'm going to be interviewing him. I just can't wait. It's going to be amazing. Elliot and his fiance just moved to Calgary, but this is on the outside of the building that they're currently staying in. Seems very fitting. Elliot and I are gonna go pick up an easel, showcase the stuff here. Let's do it. Do you have a specific easel that you like?
I think it was this one.
That's the one.
Done this in a while.
Load it up.
Using a brush definitely is like it changed the tool. It changes the outcome 100%.
Do you have a brush you like to use?
I love the bigger the brush, the better. But then you need a huge canvas too.
Yeah.
But it's just so much fun just dunking a big brush and getting those huge strokes in. But I find if I actually want to do a piece, the smaller, the more detail you can get, and the more you can control the canvas.
Do you ever combine brush sizes
Oh yeah.
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 Got the easel set up. Let's go, baby. Woo! Got that Z on your chest. Elliot's just starting out. I'm just starting out, so I need to be my own camera person. Got a tripod set up here. Elliot, thank you so much for being on the show.
Sam, of course,
Awesome.
It's an honor.
Yeah. You're a painter. You have this amazing, incredible Z on your chest shirt. I met Elliot at the coolest place.
Yeah.
It was at the Banff Springs Hotel.
Yep.
It was at the Gathering Summit.
Yep.
It was just absolutely incredible. I've always seen, you just seem to be so much yourself, you know?
Thank you.
I'm curious as to if you've always been that way or if you kind of grew into yourself. What did that journey look like for you?
Sure. I mean, more or less, I think I've always been sort of an individual, but just as we've been talking a little bit, I grew up in Windsor, Ontario, had a really sort of charmed childhood, great friends, played hockey, this, that, and the other thing. For work, my parents moved from Windsor, Ontario to Edmonton, Alberta. I had a really fantastic opportunity to sort of pursue their dreams. Unfortunately, randomly, I got a bug bite and I became quite ill, second or third day of grade 12 at a new school. Things have been going well up to that point. Gym class was fun, whatever. And then I spent the next 6 weeks in the hospital. And long story short, I had lost a lot, be it weight, hair, blood. But most importantly, it was my identity. And as a teenager, your identity is fragile as it is, although it's somewhat intact after nearly 2 decades on Earth. But unfortunately, it was when I physically, emotionally, and mentally went through this negative transformation into the worst of a patient, unsupported by my roots and my network of family and friends, which I'd just left all behind in Windsor.
Yeah, I mean, that's such a tough age, too. You said you were 17 when you moved from Windsor to Edmonton. Yeah. That's such a challenging age, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
To move is one thing, and, you make friends and whatever, but to move and then to have the bug bite happen and you have this, extreme circumstance, I'm sure that's one of the most challenging things that anyone would have to go through. So it's admirable that you've become yourself through that process. And
yes.
Yeah, and you had touched on identity and kind of losing yourself, and that's actually very core to what this channel is about. This channel is about helping people live in line with who they wish to be. And I've been trying to figure out how do you do that? And I've come up with a framework. It's called the IDEA framework. And so it's identity. So who are you? Direction. Where are you going? Execution, how are you getting there? And then the thread between all of that is authenticity. And so what was so resonant when I met you, and I want to show the clip of you after we had met Tim Harrison in Banff, you have just been so authentic. You just met Tim Harris.
Tim Harris, LA Lakers class of 2019. President of the LA Lakers.
How cool was that experience?
I mean, for a guy like me, to be here and meeting people
Handsome guy like you.
VIP guy like me, of course, to meet someone like Tim who just has the clarity of vision, the numbers in the game. When I was born in 1990, that's when he joined the Lakers. And I love that, especially these days, so much turnover, especially for us young people. I've been through a lot of careers, and to see someone who's stuck with it, values relationships, values people like the gentleman that you spoke of that he took care of when he got lost.
He just kept talking about how much he values people, and it was, he said he runs his business like he would run like a corner store, and I just think that's very relevant too.
Yeah.
So
I mean, to run the Lakers and not mention really and not have the focus be LeBron, Kobe, these guys, DJ Diesel, and to have it the focus be on the people and the experience, the stories.
Yeah, unbelievable.
It was incredible. It was the last thing I expected, and actually the really last thing I expected was LeBron's cell phone number that he gave me. So
gonna need that. On the topic of helping people live in line with who they wish to be, like what would you say to someone who is striving to live the life that they want?
Well, I think what's really important is change is usually driven by fear, because ultimately change is scary, and true change means you are now a different person. It's a difficult undertaking, and so I find the best case scenario for change to come is during times of traumatic instances where essentially you come to the realization enough is enough. I can't continue down the path that I was on. And so this awakening of being like, okay, was going to go to university, was going to come out of university making $250,000, of course.
Like I'm doing on YouTube every week, I make $250,000. No, I've been going for 2 years, haven't made a dime, but I love what I do. So.
Still waiting on a quarter, let alone $1 million. But no, it really was just like I didn't have a choice anymore. I had a blank canvas. I had come out of the hospital. Nobody knew or cared who I was.
Pun intended. Blank canvas.
Blank canvas. Absolutely. The similarities are striking though. But it really was. At first, you have to determine, okay, enough is enough, and usually it's an unfortunate event that'll trigger that, and then you say, okay, well. I don't know who I am anymore, but you know what? You start with figuring out, this is key, who you are not.
How do you do that?
Typically through trial and error, getting kicked in the head, be it career paths, friendships, relationships. The universe continuously tells you whether you're on the right path or not, and then once you have an awakening, you're more receptive to it, and you're saying, you know what? I keep trying to hang out with this person, but they're always busy. I keep trying to paint this style, but I lose interest halfway through. I pick up this book, and I can only read one page at a time. Generally, these things, we will do what we want to do in life without having to be prompted. And so I'm recognizing if I'm struggling with something, let's first consider, is this right for me? And that does not mean pursue the easiest path in life. As we talked about, you said earlier, any path you take in life is going to be hard. So why not align yourself with a path that is most conducive to where you'll succeed? Well, we don't know where that is because I just got totally blown out from my personality, my identity as a 17-year-old, which honestly, like there wasn't much to it. You're a 17-year-old in high school. What do you know? What have you done? What are you considering?
Sure.
But it was after years of, I've had so many jobs. I've been fired from a bunch of them. And I used to think that was a bad thing. But honestly, it was the universe telling me, Elliot, this ain't for you, buddy.
And one of my favorite quotes that I think it was Steve Jobs originally, but I always say it was from my mom because she's the one who said it to me. I can't begin to empathize with all the stuff that you went through, but I had a similar upbringing where I had a bit of a tougher time in high school, and then I had this period of finding myself, and I was like trudging forward, not knowing what I wanted to do. Came back from Australia, wanted to become like a self-help author, things like that. And I applied to like bartending jobs, didn't get anything, and then my mom was like, you can take this time to invest in yourself.
Yes.
And I did, and then on that journey of like doing book summaries, things like that, she handed me this quote that said, you can't connect the dots going forward, only going back. And I'm sure when you look at your life with, you said you're now 33. I think you look phenomenal for 33.
Thank you.
A little
Thank
sidebar,
you.
but like you're a painter now. You have this incredible clothing company, which we'll get into it in a bit, called Prototools. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, I don't know if any of this would be possible had you not gone through that time in grade 12 when you had moved from Windsor to Edmonton. So
certainly,
it can really kind of alleviate stress. And I find, every day show up and I don't really, I'm just trudging through trying to figure out my life. And,
Yeah.
But when you look back at this period, you'll be like, that's exactly why this happened. And so
Yeah.
I just think that's very cool. Now, when did you get into painting and Instapressionism, and what did that whole journey look like for you?
Sure. So
Also, I'm just going to see if this is on, just to make sure. Oh, did it? Yeah, it's on.
Okay. Worse things have happened.
Yeah, just to make sure. I don't even know if I'm going to cut that. It's all about being authentic, showing the perspective here. So
We're one take, one and done.
one and done. Easy on the editing process.
Yeah. So I went through the pandemic working for Scotia McLeod Wealth Management. Amazing group of people. Loved the team. I loved everything about it. I wasn't a big finance guy. I mean, I'm typically never a big anything guy.
Did you take finance in school?
No, I took marketing.
Okay.
It was a whole new venture for me, but given my sales and marketing background, I was able to pick up the financial aspects fairly easy. I mean, generally, we're going to save you a couple points and earn you a couple, save you on fees, earn you a couple more in your returns. Yeah, it's a simple prospect. But and I was going to tons of events. I was getting out there and I was networking and handing out business cards and I was doing everything. I was feeling great. Suddenly the pandemic hits and I'm confined to my room. I'm not Mr. Digital. I'm not going to be Google meeting people and Zooming and all this. It just wasn't happening. So I got a little depressed there, and I said, okay, Elliot, you know what? We'll send you down to the retail bank. I went down there. It absolutely was not for me. It was entirely process driven, very rigid, and it was so much work. It was crazy. So it just wasn't cut out for me. So I said, okay, I'm coming off basically 15 years of failure from the time I moved here, which was grade 12, graduated, to today, being fired from Scotiabank. What's going on? What I'm going to do with my life?
And what's crazy is that I'm experiencing that as I'm finishing up university and then going to, jump into real world, like outside of university, but you're 31 at the time, 32, and you're still experiencing that. And I don't think it's, you don't ever just have a period where it's like, that'll be what I'll do. And if you have that awakening, it's incredible, but it just shows that at all stages of life, you can have doubts and be on the wrong path, and you can always switch the path too.
It's so true. It gets harder as you get older, but it also gets more necessary because as you age, you do become naturally more reflective, and you start thinking, what was the point? And if you struggle to come up with an answer, there is that underlying fear in life, and it makes it really uncomfortable to move forwards because you realize you wasted a lot of time. I don't know. That's a bit of a grim look, but also too, it's a reality. It took me 10, 15 years to figure out who I am, and I did that eventually after I got fired from Scotiabank. I said, enough is enough. I'm a high caliber individual. I am very capable. I'm an excellent sales professional. How did I fail in this environment? And so I just said, enough is enough. And I took a step back. I was living at my parents' house, living a bum, driving a $1 car, still am. And I was like, you know what, this is, I don't want to say it's ground zero, but it's pretty close. Yeah.
Joys of filming downtown I don't know if they can hear the sirens, but we're going to just keep going here. Yeah. It adds to the flavor of the episode.
Shit's going down in Calgary, that's all I got to say. But I started, like you said, when you don't know what to do, you have to ask people. And so I reached out to some people that I really looked up to that had been through some challenges in life, overcame them, and now were essentially living their dream. One of them was Eric O'Sullivan, my dealer principal. He ran the dealership that I worked for. He was a very special person and very cut from a different cloth. And so I met up with him and I said, Eric, how did you change? Because he shared with me and the dealership some of his challenges in life as we were working there. Yeah. And I reached out to a few others, and I cracked open up a couple books too. And one book that really struck me was Roger Fry, this art critic, and he was contemplating Paul Cézanne, the painter, now known as the father of modern art. Picasso himself recognizes Cézanne as his one and only master, as he should. But what was interesting is Cezanne trudged through life. His father was a successful banker, and Paul ended up working for his father's bank. And kind of the same thing when I was working at the bank. I mean, I didn't have doodles in my margins because it was all computer based, but he couldn't stop doodling and drawing.
Yeah.
Because that was really where it was meant for him. And he dropped out of the bank, moved to Paris, got involved in this art movement, and he was, if I remember correctly, largely untrained. I think he was born in, say, 1840s, 50s. He passed in 1906. And his life and his story and his challenges and his inability to understand who he was just seemed to really connect with me. And so I was grateful. I had no intentions of painting because I tried it previously, and I thought color was such a bastard because you could kind of outline stuff.
Yeah.
But then when you start painting color in, it just all goes to shit. So I never wanted to paint, but my fiance Alexa, who's working hard crocheting behind the scenes here.
She doesn't want to be on, but we're trying to get her to do a cameo, and
we'll get some B-roll of the snacks that Alexa made for us. Those is incredible. But my beautiful young future bride, my fiance Alexa, put a brush in my hand in February 28th, and we painted together, and it was a really special experience.
Oh, this year?
Yeah.
Wow.
First time painting and be like, hey, and like consciously painting, not like as a child making macaroni art, but and it was like, okay. And then a few days later, my birthday, March 2nd, we painted again, and it was really cool because one of the concepts I understood, because I needed art to be explained to me, because if you just try and jump into the art world, it's largely a bunch of kooks and a bunch of crap, and there's so little to glom onto. So how do you know what it's supposed to be about when a lot of people who do art these days aren't driven particularly by a form or direction? Because I had grounded myself in literally the man.
Sorry, just watch your arms on the mic.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
I from being a non-artist to having a struggle to finding painting and to expressing himself to the fullest degree, and reading this and understanding it through the words of a critic who was both a painter and critic himself, Roger Fry. It was like he gave me the painter's Bible, and now I had not instruction, but I had a direction. This is where Cezanne wants to go, and so rather than spending years in art school and getting a fine art degree and taking all these lessons, where you literally start, I cracked open one drawing book, I had to close it again. It was like, focus on the contour line, the main line of the figure, and then build it out from there. It's like if you just told me where we're going and stopped bogging me down with all these details, I could have arrived there 10 times faster. And I realized that works for me really well. Well, where other people, they want all the details, and they sometimes don't even need a direction. They just want to follow the steps until it's done.
Yeah.
Give me another paper. Okay. Where I'm like, I don't want to read this. Where are we going? Throw the ball as far as you can, and I'll go fetch it for you, and I'll bring it back.
That's cool.
This is how it worked.
And I find what's a parallel between me as a YouTuber and you as an artist is even with like this shoot or any video I make, I'll get a series of clips and I'll be like, I have no idea how this is going to be anything. And I chuck it into the editing platform. That would be my canvas per se. And I just start to splice it together, and you turn it from what Pixar calls an ugly baby into like a very good piece of art. And it's cool that art is a way for anyone to express themselves. Whether it's, I mean, yours is through painting. Mine is through video. Many people, art is music.
We were plucked up on the tracks, we're sitting in the back, and we just started getting busy when she whispered what was that.
Or it can be athletics. It could be if you're an accountant and you have a sheet that balances. I bet that would be considered art by many people.
Absolutely,
I feel like my definition of art is anything where you can fully express yourself. And just kind of become more potentially into a flow state. Like you can really, I bet you lose yourself in your painting and stuff like that.
100%.
So, as someone who quite frankly, I have never really understood painting. I would love for you to walk me through just kind of the magic you get when you have that brush in your hand and you get to express yourself that way.
Absolutely. It is nothing short of magical, and you absolutely lose yourself, especially it's like you get into that sweet spot, whether it's a runner's high, whether it's your writing, or I do poetry as well, and usually when I'm at my best, I am actively unconscious. I'm not thinking, okay, what rhymes and what should I say? I just allow, in this instance, the hand of God to grab my wrist and just to go to town. Because what I learned with post-impressionism, what post-impressionism literally means is the period after impressionism. Post-impressionism. Impressionism was all about the play of light. And what they thought was fascinating is they could really bring scenes to life if they not only captured the representation of the scene and the subject, but that magical, intangible quality of flickering light flooding in, shadow, these sorts of things. It was more of it was almost like the dubstep of its day. It was like, let's try this one cool trick and see if it works.
Yeah.
And it dominated the scene. It just took over, just like dubstep and what was his name, the long-haired guy?
Skrillex.
Yeah. Like no one talks about Skrillex. Like but for about a year or two there, he was blaring your eardrums.
Oh, grade 6, man. When Bangarang came on, banging my head.
You got the school dance. You run to get your grape drink and your chocolate bar. Whoo!
Now, what I find cool is there's always people that are kind of changing industries and almost creating sort of revolutions per se.
Yeah.
And I find what's cool about what you're doing with Instapressionism
Thank you.
is that it's taking Impressionism and it's bringing it into a modern lens. Like, it would be cool if you could tell us about kind of how you're going from this art that you could argue is not as prominent as it would have been in, like, say, 1600s or whenever art was a big thing, to now with social media kind of being the bridge between the two of those.
100%. I think art and painting specifically is so important because with a blank canvas, 3 primary colors and a black and white, the possibilities are truly infinite. This is literally it right here. And this is, we bought this at Michael's, which is a little highbrow for some people. I mean, Van Gogh would use just whatever crap was lying around. Yeah. And to have...
I think, I just want to jump in quick.
Yeah.
I think that's an important place to start in that often when people hear I'm a YouTuber, they're like, oh, like, what kind of camera do you have? Like, for the first 2 years, I've used my phone.
Yeah.
You know, like, if you want to become an artist, you don't need to have this big, massive canvas. Like, just start to draw, start to doodle, and you got to start somewhere. I recently had a video where it was a review of my last 2 years on YouTube. I've been on here for 2 years. And my first video, I literally opened up my laptop and press record on photo booth. And now we're progressing. I'm going to invest in camera equipment and stuff. But I think just starting with what you got is such a powerful thing to do. And then you'll kind of evolve as you go, but you'll never be ready. You just need to start.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Just go for it. And you don't know what's going to happen. Something will happen, though. There will be an image on this page, and you will find it compelling because it is your own. And honestly, your earliest work is sometimes your most compelling because it is your most unfiltered. Yeah. You don't have any concepts of techniques, color theory, stroke, common themes. You have nothing. So really what you paint is like a pure expression of who you are.
And do you find that art is one of the biggest ways you're able to express yourself and articulate maybe your thoughts?
100%.
Yeah.
I want to recenter the conversation, at least in my small circle in life, around painting and artistic ideals because they're expressions of oneself. And when we talk in terms of sensation and color, the possibilities are infinite. When we start to use words, unfortunately in society, there's directions that are expected. So if you talk about this subject, there's 2 ways you're going to go, and we hope that it's this one.
Yeah.
it really starts limiting your capacity for language and ideas and conversation when you're scared of either getting canceled, scared of not getting all the views that you want, or in my case, if I just paint what I want as opposed to what the market wants, how am I gonna make any money?
And I find so often what's unfortunate is we do get swept up into the urgency of needing to be compensated and whatever.
Yes.
And if you were driven financially, which of course you need finances to survive.
Yes.
Or if I was driven financially, this video wouldn't exist.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be a painter.
Yep.
But I think being willing to just take finance out of the equation and just kind of pursue what you want to do.
So
There's
important.
some power in that. And if you, obviously you need to be strategic at some points, but you also sometimes just need to use the paint analogy, just kind of let the brush do its thing and let it lead you where you want to go. And
Yes.
yeah.
Precisely.
So I kind of want to switch gears into the directional side of what you're up to and things like that. And these shirts we have on, these are Visitor Prototools. Got that Z on our chest.
Whoa.
So I would love to hear kind of what these shirts are. They're very unique. I mean, I think you designed them from a health perspective, from a YouTube perspective. Having my mic here, phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. I'm all in on the Visitor Prototools, but
Thank you.
I would love to hear just how you got into this. I mean, it's so novel, this shirt, and like what inspired this design, and where do you see yourself going with Visitor Prototools?
Sure. Well, I painting was the catalyst where I started conducting and creating my own narrative and expressing myself and getting ideas down that were locked away that I didn't even understand myself. And I literally painted every day from March 2nd till, I don't know, every day for almost a year, 3-4 hours a day. And I was out there in the backyard because painting on plein air is a big part of it. I prefer to do it over inside. Both are great, but if I'm inside, I need light and view. But I said, okay, now I can articulate sensations. How I feel is what I express through painting. Now I can consciously recognize this. So when I'm in the hospital and they're waking me up every 15 minutes to give me a needle when I'm in there overnight, when they could just roll up my, add a zipper. What if we just put a zipper? Then they wouldn't have to wake me up, and I get no sleep, and sleep is other than morphine, sleep is the number 2 thing I desire in the hospital. And if I can't get it, there's going to be problems. So, zip, that was the catalyst for it right there.
Very so it started
simple.
long sleeve.
Long, because you're cold.
Yeah.
Long sleeve, zipper. I also have they tried to get dialysis going in my arm here. Unfortunately, they forgot to follow up with it, and it closed. So within a month of having to start dialysis eventually, which is now a year or 2 ago, they're like, oh, well, you know what? We're going to have to rip your chest open and stick one in your chest. I was really upset because I've already had like over 15 surgeries, and none of them are fun. And unfortunately, this came as a surprise. And then to get one more in the chest here, and you have this tube hanging out, and it was, ugh. But one great thing came out of it was I already had the zipper idea. Well, now let's just slap one on the bro line.
Yeah.
So now I just crack her open, and there's my tubes. And I don't have to take my shirt off or wear a gown or some crazy thing. And they hook me up, and then I just simply re-zip it here and there. I'm totally calm, cool, collected. And rather than being tied down with all these, tubes in my arm and things going on, what can I do when I'm in the hospital for 4 hours, 3 times a week? A little bit of this. And
That's
again,
cool.
so instead of being in dialysis and melting away and isolating myself from society, with the brush, or more realistically, I use oil pastel markers or Crayolas and a sketch pad. I'm able to have this magical experience at what could be considered a dark time.
I think that's so special that just the parallel between the art and the Z on your chest, it's very cool.
Thank you.
And I think it really proves that you often, when you're going through hard times, it's actually can be very defining in those moments,
Yes.
Had you not gone through all that time in the hospital, you wouldn't be able to provide this technology, this clothing that is going to help tons of people.
Yes.
And so now moving forward from a more business perspective, like
Yeah.
what is Visitor Prototools hoping to do in the next, say, 5 years?
Okay, so Visitor has been super fortunate. 15 years in and out of the hospital. As well, I'm a fashion guy, and I'm a Chip Wilson, the founder of Lululemon, is a hero. So I took all these ideas and lessons that I've learned over the years, and I've poured it into this. We are going to make tools for the patient's hand. The heart and mind can trick you, but your intuitive sense, which is expressed through your hands, is infallible. And so I want to take this opportunity when you really need it, when you're down for the count, when you're isolated from your friends and family, when you feel like crap, you're all alone in the hospital, what do you have to hang on to? The future is uncertain. Tomorrow is uncertain. Not that you're going to die, but what's the test result going to be? How am I going to feel tomorrow? Blah, 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 blah. Am I going to have wet, soggy toast again for the third day in a row? These are the thoughts that are going on in a patient's mind. It's all bad news.
Yeah.
Let's create an avenue here where you can negate all of this nonsense, these earthly matters, with something that transcends the immediate moment and allows you to embrace yourself at the highest level. Create with your hands.
That's amazing.
Paint.
And I find often too, I feel like we could create like some kind of art idea that relates. I mean, you're doing it with clothing,
Yeah.
but you walk into a hospital and it feels like the equivalent of a lukewarm bowl of oatmeal when you look at the walls. Like,
Yeah.
it's bland, there's no
Yes.
color, there's no excitement. If we could take Impressionism and put that on the walls,
Yeah.
and now your environment could bring you joy.
Yeah.
You have, the clothing that makes your life easier so you don't need to be woken up when you sleep, things like that. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like there would be such a potential to add some flavor to kind of the blandness of the
Oh my goodness.
the hospital walls.
It's huge. It's huge. Essentially, the how I see it is like, imagine the dawn of the vacation for the American people. No longer are they requiring their jeans and their Sunday best, but they need tropical wear. They need light fabrics and light silks, and they need luggage bags, and they need hats and technical apparel or what have you for vacationing.
Yeah.
A whole new boon of an industry started. And now you have like Louis Vuitton doing capsule collections worth tens of thousands just for your vacation. Same thing with the gym. You used to wear your dad's old college sweater to the gym. You'd wear your worst clothes because it made the most sense, because they're just going to get beat up and sweaty and destroyed. But suddenly Lululemon walks into a yoga and Nike, and they say, you know what? Why are we wearing this hideous stuff? There's an opportunity here to look our best, to look better, and to offer tools, be it garments or otherwise, that'll help with greater efficiency achieve your goals.
And I feel like below the surface of having just a cool looking shirt and a novel shirt, there must be some kind of meaning, some emotional meaning behind this clothing brand and the art and stuff you do. So like, what's very core to everything that you do?
I think what I'm really blessed with is painting, again, allowed me to deal in sensation, and it not only allowed me to articulate them but perceive them differently, because I'm trying to think. What you try and do is you peel back the layers of the onion to get to the core of things.
Yeah.
An apple is a very dynamic shape, but to a painter, it's a circle. With that level of clarity, and when you start articulating other problems and feelings, I said, okay, I don't want to get woken up. They're only waking me up to roll up my sleeve. Zipper. Quick, easy, efficient. No Velcro. No buttons for feeble hands.
You nailed the sound of Velcro, by the way.
But you put it back on, it's always off by this or an angle. It's just whatever. And so with painting, one of the words that I love with painting is efficiency. It sounds very mechanical, but honestly, it's like, how do I best achieve my goal? Okay, I want to paint something beautiful. Well, if I just paint a bunch of flowers, the flowers are already beautiful. What am I really achieving? Almost net zero. I'm just reproducing a beautiful thing. It has nothing to do with me. I need to think, okay, how do I create beauty? And that's the lens that I'm now able to apply, is reduce things to simple forms, understand the sensations, how do they make me feel? Having this Z on my chest is such an emotional satisfaction. To unzip yourself, it's like, I joke, it's like taking your bra off after a long day. You just let it all out.
Half of our audience that resonated, the other half are completely lost as to what you mean, but
it'd be like
it's like taking your ski boots off after a day on the slopes.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just like But the wonderful thing is, you don't need to have any physical exertion. It's just the simple act of unleashing your chest, your heart, your soul. So much energy is right here. And to unleash that is a powerful statement. So that Z, that zipper on my chest, serves as a symbol.
That's what Z is. Z is for zipper?
Yes.
Yeah.
A zipper almost sounded, it just sounded like an old, it wasn't the right vibe.
Zipper.
Hey, nice zipper. Thank you, sir. You know? Oh, you got that Z on your chest. Oh,
that sounds cool.
You know, yeah.
It sounds like you're making a movement versus, yeah. Making someone cringe. Zipper.
Yeah. Putting it on the chest was a phenomenal sensation. It aesthetically, it looks incredible. It's never been seen or really done before. The only time I can think of is like those old windbreakers, maybe, but that was a whole different context. Yeah. You're exposing your flesh here, or if you want to put a t-shirt underneath or a logo, there's so many opportunities to express oneself stylistically. Like we even have the mic in here. I never would have thought of that. But everybody's able to take this piece and dream, imagine. It stimulates the brain, the magic. And they say, what could I use this for? Rather than just putting blinders on and saying, you know what, like, okay, today the hot shoe is the Adidas Samba. Boink. Tomorrow the hot shoe is the AJ1. Boink. You don't have to think. You just rinse and repeat. But when you do unexpected things, when you do powerful things, or you do what you feel is right, it resonates with people. Be it a painting or a zipper on the chest.
Anyone who meets Elliot can feel his radiance and his enthusiasm, and
thank you.
You can feel that kind of in the clothing you have. So
thank you.
I have a bit of a whopper of a question here.
Sure.
It'll be one of the last ones.
Okay.
So it's your last day on Earth.
Yeah.
It's your last day alive.
Yeah.
You have lived the life you want to live. You've fully fulfilled your potential. You've just lived in line fully with who you wish to be.
Yeah.
All your friends are there, family, great grandkids if you want to have family,
oh
etc. Yeah. What do you see when you look back?
I think what's really important to me in my life is to know that I gave my best shot, and whatever the outcome is, I can accept that. I believe if I give it my best shot, great things will come, and they have already, and they will continue to. But that's irrelevant. Knowing that I tried my best, having Alexa, my future wife, my fiance, by my side, and our loving children who are loved, know they're loved, and know we support them, and have supported them their entire lives, just like my parents have supported me. And family, love, and knowing I never took my foot off the gas. That's pretty much it. A house in Upper Mount Royal, a vintage Ferrari, bespoke closet, like literally the closet and all the garments in it. What's that?
I want a mini G.
Oh, Alexa's getting a mini G.
What's a mini G?
A mini G-Wagon.
Okay.
They just came out with those.
Yeah. Before I ask you my last question, is there any questions that, like if you were interviewing yourself, what would you ask yourself?
I mean, the crucial question is, how did you change? And there is no answer. There is no answer, because so much happens in life, and it's so random. Like as you move forward, you're not connecting the dots. Like where this interview is being posted and who will watch it, we have no control. But if we look back, and we'll see the dots connected. But just know change is possible, and pursue it wholeheartedly with intention, and it will happen. And so how do you change? The answer is I don't know, but keep asking yourself that question honestly, and you will.
I love that.
Thanks.
I love that.
It's true.
So my final question. I think I was going to ask this question in the early stages. If I already asked it, forgive me. This channel, as I mention all the time, is about helping people live in line with who they wish to be, and really living the life that you want. Like, how can you do that? Like, what would you say is core to being able to live in line with who you wish to be?
Well, I think what's most powerful about that statement is imagine if you don't. Imagine living a life that is unaligned with who you are. And I think most people out there are doing that. And if you consciously conceive where you're at in life right now, I think a lot of people would say, this isn't good enough. This isn't for me.
You got to have the guts to be able to change that.
Yeah. You get the willingness to fail. I mean, it's already... If I was a successful Scotia banker in the retail and banging out mutual funds and credit cards, I would still consider myself a failure because that is not at all what I'm interested in or wish to be doing.
It's incongruent with what you truly want.
So I had to take that leap of faith in myself, that risk, that fear. Even today, I got all my T-shirts right here. Lord knows if they're going to go or not.
Yeah, they will. I can promise you they will.
I think they will, but like realistically, how is it going to happen?
I'll be back in a second so you grab something.
Yeah. Should I do a quick smiley face with the yellow and black here just to prove I did?
Yeah, exactly. Do a paperclip if you want.
Ooh.
That'd be fun.
So each episode, we put a paperclip in this jar here to represent just this channel and showing up and all of that. So if you would want to do the honors,
wow,
put that in here. You are episode number 76. So it's exciting. We're both at the start. We're both on our journey. And as I progress, I want to be able to tell more stories like yours. So is there anywhere that people can see what you do on Instagram or a website you have? Like, what's the best way for people to support you?
Definitely. So follow me on Instagram, Instapressionism, INSTA, Pressionism. And I share art, ideas, everything. It's the closest vein to who I am.
So authentic. You're so much yourself on those platforms.
Freestyles. I let one rip last night. That was fun. But always scary because I'm like, I'm too old for this and I shouldn't be doing this. But it also too.
Eminem's 50.
Eminem's 50, but it's still an art form. It's still poetry. And I write because I have to. I don't expect it. And it just comes and I get off my chest. Yeah.
Cool. Well, what's going to say on my chest is the Z on my chest.
Thank you. Oh, visitor prototools.com. Buy a shirt, $100, and it's going to Patient Apparel. We got a full uniform coming, short sleeve, long sleeve, pants, kimono. It's gonna be crazy.
Accessorizing it, you can see here, I got the paperclip on my chest. It's cool. It's a cross between, Mr. Rose and myself.
Yeah,
so it's amazing. But yeah, no, I appreciate you making time for this.
Thank you so much, Sam.
Yeah, it was amazing to have you on.
Real pleasure.
This is the start of a lifelong friendship, I'm sure. And I just can't wait to see what you do with everything. So yeah, appreciate you coming on. I love the behind the scenes look at things. This is the Z on the chest, currently underneath the TV. We are, Elliot, my man. We are in Calgary. They're in an Airbnb here.
Oh yeah.
It's cool that you don't really ever get to see where people start out, and it's cool that, you guys are just down here, Calgary. This is Alexa. Say hello.
Hi.
But, yeah, I love seeing this. We were going to do a painting today, but that didn't happen, so I'll show other paintings Elliot's done. But thank you all for being here. It means a lot. It's just been such a journey, and I just can't wait to keep showing up for you all. This guy's got to get that Z on his chest.